Hello and welcome back to An Old Man Watches, where today I'm going to be talking about the 1970 made for TV horror thriller How Awful About Allan. And the Allan in question is Allan Colley, the adult son of an esteemed university professor and a teacher in his own right. Given his profession, Allan is a reasonably intelligent man, but that doesn't necessarily mean he always does the smart thing. And one bad choice, carelessly leaving some paint cans in his father's study, is about to derail Alan's life in spectacular fashion. You see, a fire breaks out in the room while Alan's father is working there, and the flames accelerated by the paint, it quickly becomes a fearsome blaze that kills the older man and leaves Alan's sister Catherine disfigured after her efforts to save her father. Now, Alan is himself physically unharmed by the fire, but the same cannot be said for his psyche. He so fiercely blames himself for this tragedy that his guilt leaves him with psychosomatic blindness. 3 months later, Alan's doctor has helped him overcome some of his emotional turmoil, enough at least that Alan's eyesight has partially returned. He's still a long way from fully recovered, but Alan can now make out blurry shapes and colours, which is sufficient progress that the doctor believes Alan should leave the hospital and continue his recuperation at home. And so Alan returns home, where Catherine has been living alone, somewhat hermit like, for the past 3 months. The room where the fire occurred is still boarded up, but the rest of the building seems intact. On the other hand, money has become very tight for the family. Alan hasn't been working, Catherine hasn't been working, their father's dead. They need to bring in a lodger to make ends meet, or at least that's what Catherine says. Now, Alan's not keen to have a stranger in the house, especially one that he can't even see properly, and he's even less happy about it when the stranger appears to have very odd habits. The man keeps the door to his room locked at all times and only comes in and out in the middle of the night. Now, all of this is very soon going to be the least of Alan's worries, however, as a strange, shadowy figure begins to haunt him. Is Alan's guilt about the fire manifesting in a new delusion, or is there truly somebody out to get him? How about Allan stars Anthony Perkins, who was a former 1950s teen idol, but whose career defining moment came when he starred as Norman Bates in the smash 1960 hit Psycho. Although Perkins received good reviews in later years when he tackled other kinds of roles, including a Best Actor award at the Cannes Film Festival for his performance in a romantic drama, he would regularly find himself being brought in for psycho like projects, things that dealt with themes of mentally disturbed people. That included three belated Psycho sequels starting in 1983 and many other projects, including this movie. Now, the quality of these rather typecast films varied significantly, but I think it's fair to say that How Awful About Allan is definitely on the bottom end of the scale. This is a very tepid thriller indeed, and there's one primary reason for that: the script. You see, the answers to what's really going on in this film are pretty easy to work out. You can probably figure out most of the movie's supposed twists just from having listened to the plot synopsis I gave and extrapolating the most obvious story points that would stem from that. You wouldn't get every single detail, of course. I haven't given you enough information to get that level of accuracy. But in broad terms of broad strokes, I think absolutely you can work it out. And it's not like actually watching the film makes the obvious answers more obtuse. If anything, it makes them more obvious. Having established the core question of is Allan crazy or is there really someone out to get him, the script never really makes any effort to put the answer in doubt. There simply wouldn't be a story if one of these options were true, which means the other answer has to be the correct one. Worse, having given the audience only one possible answer to the film's main question, the script then makes no effort to throw the details of the answer into doubt. It's a bit like a murder mystery where there's only actually one suspect for the whole film. Compounding the film's lack of real questions is its decision to hold its very limited cards tight to its chest, doling them out very reluctantly for much of its length. Now, this is presumably an attempt to build suspense, the idea being to keep the audience as much in the dark as Allan so that they don't know what's going on and won't figure it out. Right? Well, no, that's not right, because the audience have context that Allan does not. We know that this is a thriller movie, and we're automatically thinking in those ways, gives us a big advantage over the characters within the film. Again, consider the case of a murder mystery. If the direct detectives arrest somebody 20 minutes into a murder mystery film, we know they've got the wrong person because we, the audience, have the context of, well, this film still has an hour and a half to run. It can't be this guy. And something similar applies here. Alan may be baffled, but you'll probably just be a bit bored as you wait for the film to acknowledge the thing that you've already worked out. So instead of building suspense, the reluctance to push things forward instead simply stymies any real sense of plot development for much of the film's length. The result is a movie that moves at best lethargically through most of its runtime before finally having the reverse problem in its final act when it sort of bursts into a frantic torrent of revelations to actually get to the ending. So it manages to get the worst of both worlds, basically. Now, while the film is a failure overall, and I don't recommend it, I think it would be unfair not to acknowledge the work done by the on screen cast. The three primary performers are all skilled at their craft, and they give this far more effort than the film deserves. Consider Anthony Perkins, who I've already discussed in some detail, but he had a 40-year career. He was a charismatic actor who won a Golden Globe and was nominated for an Academy Award, and he committed fully to this role. In order to authentically portray Alan's partial blindness, during shooting, he wore heavy contact lenses that limited his vision. Those are so effective that Perkins had to be led to and from the set while he was wearing them. And while the other two primary roles didn't require the actors to go to those lengths, they also worked hard and they were both also talented. They each received an Oscar nomination, though neither actually won. But Julie Harris, who plays his character's sister, did win a Golden Globe, and Joan Hackett um, also had 3 Emmys and 5 Tony Awards, I believe, or I may have got that the wrong way around. But in any case, both multiple award winning and nominated actresses who do good work here. But alas, no cast, be they ever so talented, could make this film anything more than harmless, but far from engrossing, tepid thriller. There are much better options for you to watch out there. I suggest you watch something else instead. Next time, a movie that's been accused of putting the cause of video game adaptations back an entire decade. But is this year's Borderlands film really as bad as all that? But that is next time. Until then, thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. And if you've seen How Awful About Alan, let me know what you thought of it.